Good. Hey, y'all. Hey, you are tuned in to Circle Up with Amanda Heard. So, this video is pretty much like, I guess, a questionnaire type video. I am frequently asked a couple of questions, and so I thought, why not make a video so that maybe it can help a few others that I'm kind of like in long reach of. So, I wrote down a couple of the questions that people tend to ask me a whole lot. It's not many questions, like maybe seven. And yeah, I'm just gonna probably read them out and then answer them and allow you guys to inbox me or message me, DM me, however you have connections with me to ask me more questions, or if you want me to go a little further in some of the questions that I answer today. Okay, so it's all podcast based, just about the journey, how I got started, why I got started, and yeah, all along those lines. So people tend to ask me a lot, why podcast and what inspired me to podcast. So why podcast? Why podcast? Because I'm one who literally does not like her face to be shown. Like, I don't mind being in the back. I don't seek like a crazy amount of attention, and I'm super shy in the inside. So when all the attention is on me, I tend to like get in this little shell. And I thought that with podcasting, um, they don't have to. People don't really have to see your face; they just hear your voice. And so, why not? um, Another thing along with why podcasting is because with that characteristic that I have, not wanting to be seen, not desiring to be seen because of my shyness, on top of that, I literally just do not care to seek the, or look for more so the glory, or the um, just the congratulations and things. Like, when I do whatever I do, I tend to do it from my heart. And so a lot of times when you have a lot of people in your face always giving you praise, it tends to put you in a place where you believe you're a lot higher than you really are. And a lot of people have a really hard time balancing that out, balancing on how to receive the acknowledgement versus how to just kind of live in the acknowledgement. And so that can be really, really difficult. And I don't want pride to be the focus of uh, why I do what I do. I always want my heart to move first. So that is pretty much why podcasting over anything else. Well, I shouldn't say unfortunately. I should say fortunately, through podcasting, it has opened other doors where now I am forced to show my face. So, yeah. um, what inspired me to do a podcast? There was literally a time that I separated myself from everybody I was really close to. I separated myself from pretty much church. I separated myself from the things that I strongly believed in and strongly thought I knew so much about. And I got in this little cave where it was literally just me, and I was seeking God. I was like, God, I want to know you for myself. I want to hear you for myself. I want to be sure in you for myself. There's so many things that I want through you, but I want to be sure without a doubt, like unshakable in you. And I feel like I can't get that with so much noise around me. And so in this time of separation, I began to grow, and I began to learn and hear so much from the Lord that it placed this 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 hunger inside of me to want more and more and more. And so it was a time, it was a good amount of time, but as I began to feed that hunger, I began to hear from God like I've never heard from him before. I began to feel just the presence of of the Holy Spirit like I never did before. And y'all, I felt them before, but this time it was so impactful. It was so powerful. It was so unshakable. And so in this time is when he gave me so much. And in that time, I literally was like writing things down. I was planning things, and I was in this space where I was like, okay, I was like, Lord, I hear you. Lord, I got you. Lord, I'm gonna do what you say. Yes, Lord, I'm giving you my less. My less. I'm giving you my yes. And in that time frame, he literally was like, now is your time. And so everything that I felt him urging me to do, I began to move on it. And it was so crazy because I had all these plans and I had all these dates and times when I wanted to release these things, and he was like, now. And it was so crazy that literally when I would go to text, a friend or text or talk to someone, they would literally give me, they would say things like, oh, you should do so and so and so, or you should so and so and so, and I would respond back to them like, oh yeah, it's in the plans, I'll do it soon. But every time I said that, every time I responded like that, literally I can hear the Lord telling me, now is the time. And so normally where I would get all nervous and I would get all like, ooh, no, not right now, because I don't feel like I have it all together. I don't feel like, I can do it. People won't want to hear from me. People don't want to, see me. I don't have what this person has. I don't have what that person has. Literally, when I would go through all of those different emotions, I had this boldness arise in me, and I just stepped out. I literally just jumped out. I was like, okay, you said it. Okay, you said now is the time. So boom, now is the time. And I just did it. When I started, I knew nothing about podcasting. I barely knew, like, I didn't know how to upload. I didn't know what an RSS feed was. I didn't know anything. I didn't know what you needed, how to get it, how to get started. I didn't know if it cost. I really had no idea whatsoever. And it's like the more in tune I stayed with Christ, he literally began to direct my path. And he showed me what was first, what was next, how to do this, how to do that, even down to choosing the title of my podcast. So that is what inspired me. That is why podcasting. Another question I get asked a lot is, how do you find your boldness? Like, how did I, being in that place, how did I just step out in faith? How did I just step out and release my voice? How did I decide that, okay, yeah, you can do this? How did I get that thing in me that made me not care about anything else? So in that time frame, I looked at myself like so much less than. I looked at myself like, I can't do it. I looked at myself like, what do you have? Like you heard me say previously, like, you don't have what that person has. You don't, you're not ranked like this person is ranked. Or it was so much comparison. God had to take me to a place where he was like, I am within you. He was like, all these things you proclaim to lack. He was like, I am within you and I lack nothing. So therefore you lack no thing. And just hearing those words within me, it made this boldness stand up in me like, you're right, I can't do it, but you can. And because you're in me, it gives me the ability to be able to do it. And so I was so encouraged in that time. I was so filled in that time. I was so uplifted in that time. Everything that I would hear my mind telling me, there was something that went against it. There was something that filled me up, and that something was the Holy Spirit. And like I said, because he lacks nothing, and he confirmed to me that there was nothing that he stood in lack of, because he confirmed to me that he was fully living inside of me, that it gave me this boldness that made me believe more in myself. It made me, forget about everything that I wasn't, and it made me stand on everything that he called me to be. And side note, that is why I'm so excited about season 2, y'all, because in season 2, it literally reveals everything that God has called you to be. It literally gives you this infilling of everything that you look at yourself to be, and you call yourself to be, and you say that you are. Even some of the good things, there's a greater thing that he tops. And so that's a side note. I'm excited about that. But anyhow, listen, because of that, it had me stand in this boldness. It had me arise into this new characteristic that made me fear nothing. It took me out of the zone of comparison. And one of our biggest problems in life is we compare ourselves to so many things that does not matter. If we compared ourselves to the things that God called us to be, we would be so much further in life. We would be so much more ahead on this journey. We would literally be thriving in freedom. And that's a place where I desire to help people get to. Forget about what he is doing or she is doing. Forget about what those people are doing that you went to school with that seems to be so much more impressive or so much more greater than what you are doing. If you can't find safety, if you can't find confidence and boldness in who you are and what you're doing and where you're at, then that's an issue. That's a problem that, we have to come together and help each other grow in that area, because God desires so much more. The things that he has for you are so precious. There's not a time or a moment that we should be sitting or yet resting in comparison. God didn't call you to be anybody but you. And so when you begin to move in you, you will be the freest you've ever been before. So I know that was kind of a long answer, but that is literally how I found my way. And along the journey, you'll come across the question, like, how do I choose a name? And if you do research on how to choose your podcast name, they will give you all these fantastic ideas. But because my podcast is spiritually based, I had to void everything that they said in those videos and literally come, to a place where I was like, okay, God, none of this is making sense because I don't even desire podcasting. So where do I go from here? What do I do? I literally went in prayer and I asked for a name. I wouldn't say that he gave me the name. However, I would say he asked me a question that made me dig inside of self in order to reveal the name. And so I was coming up with all these cute little fun, fancy names, all these cute little fun things that would look really cute on like graphics and t-shirts and stuff, but none of those things really pointed out like who I am, what I'm about, or what my cast or show would even be about. So in that time of seeking him, I was asked the question like, he was like, well, who are you? And Amanda, duh, like, and this wasn't my exact response. I was like, Amanda, duh, but literally when he asked me who are you? Just be you. He would say, in the midst of my prayers, I just desire you to be you. The show is based upon you and who you are. And I was like, okay, that doesn't give me much. I don't want to name it Amanda Heard, like what's fitting for that? And I seeked and I seeked and I seeked and I couldn't find anything. And then one day I was sitting there and I was thinking, I was doodling on my paper and I was thinking, I was like, who am I? What do I like to do? What do I do? What represents me? And I thought about how much joy I get when there's people over at our house and we're literally all circled up and we're just talking about the goodness of God, or we're just talking about the great things that God has like brought us through, or the great things that show forth how God has sustained us, or how he's covered us and graced us. And as I was thinking about that, I was like, wow, circle up. I was like, when I think about a circle, it makes me go to a place of like the football team, how they gather up, and when they're gathered, they're sitting there and they're talking about the plan, what's next, what's here, and all of their focus is on one thing. And I was like, wow, with me and things that I desire and who I am, that's so fitting. I love to be circled up with people spreading the good news of God, talking about a plan, how we're going to get through this thing, what's next, what to do, after the fact, what to do in the now, what, happened then. And it's so amazing how when we're all circled up together, our focus always goes to one place, and that's Christ. So I was like, better then circle up with Amanda Hurd. So it took a little work, it took a little prayer, it took a little thought, but in that I feel like I found the perfect name. So if I had to suggest to anybody how to choose a name for whether it's a podcast, whether it's a show, whether it's a vlog, blogging, um, whatever it is, I would say choose something that fits you. Sometimes your name holds enough power, but then to add to your name, let something represent you. And so that's what I did. That's what works for me. I don't know, maybe it can work for you too. Another very common question that I get is, what are your goals in podcasting? Starting out, I'm not even gonna lie, there was no goals. All I knew is I wanted to get on this platform with others that was already doing the work and tag a team. I literally just wanted to spread the same message, the same, story, the same, I don't know, excitement, joy, the same thing that those that were already out there doing it, I just wanted to be a part of it. And so that was how I started. But going into it and finding a love for it, my goals now is literally to continue to do that, to continue to stay out of the lane of comparison, and to reach as many hearts as I could. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm out there looking for hearts to be reached, but I'm out there just continuing to share my story, continuing to share, the things that Christ gives me, the things that the Holy Spirit brings me through, fills me up with. And as I continue to do that, as I continue to be bold and courageous and be raw and uncut with you all, I pray that it just continues to expand, that its wings just open wide and soar right through the podcasting field. As I am doing that, I also desire to reach back and help anyone who is looking to jump aboard, to do the same. The platform is not as huge as YouTubing, but it's growing and it's pretty big. And so anybody out there that I can help, my goal is to be able to be a hand, to be a heart, to be a sister, a friend, that can fill you up with any insight that I've gained along the way. So that's my goal. It says, is there an age group? So starting off, I literally thought that nobody would really want to hear it unless they were, pretty much mid-20s and up. However, I quickly learned that my kids are some of my biggest fans. And so with that being said, my daughter is 12 and my son is 14. And they are literally some of my biggest fans. They're always circling up, tuning in. They're always giving me feedback and telling me how much they loved it. So I really can't put age on it. I mean, as long as you have the mindset to comprehend, to understand what is being said, no matter what age that is, then hey, that's where it starts. And I mean, my grandmother's is a fan. So there's no cap there. I feel like because my story is so real, it's so true, it's so me, it's nothing added, nothing taken away. I feel like anybody can learn and grow from it as long as your mind is open and your opportunity of growth is there. So I guess no age cap. Do you love what you do? Or more so, what do you love about what you do? So I keep saying in the beginning, but it's fairly fresh, and I feel like I've gone a little ways. I'm already finished with season 1, so I have to kind of bounce back to let you kind of understand where I am now. So in the beginning, of course I didn't love it because I had to expose who I am, what I'm about. And sometimes that can be challenging because you're putting yourself at a place where now you can be openly judged. But growing to a place where you just don't care, growing to a place where you're leaning on Christ, growing to a place where it is what it is, I love it now. I love it because I thought that it wouldn't help anybody or little to people, I thought that my biggest fans would be those that I'm closest to, and just to see that it's reaching people that I had no connections to, it's reaching people that I never thought in a million years we would have a conversation, or it's even reaching people that I don't even know, like no. I love that because the message is all like focused and centered on Christ. And if there's anybody, anywhere that I can share a piece of his light with, that's a very lovable thing. So in the beginning, I wasn't so much a love of it. I was just doing what I was urged to do. But one episode down, 10 seasons. One season down, 10 episodes out of the way. I guess the love happened really quick. So wasn't love at first sight, but definitely fell in love with it. And now I can't see myself not doing it. So I love where it's going. Is it worth it? And would you encourage someone else to do it? I definitely, 100%, hands down, would say it is worth it. Anytime God calls you. As I was saying, is it worth it? Absolutely. I would say pretty much anything that God has inspired you to do, encouraged you to do, urged you to do, pushed you to do, asked you to do, move in it. It is absolutely worth it. There are so many doors that will be open from you just obeying the will of the Father, you just moving forward in the things that He has placed on your heart. Podcasting there's so many doors that can be opened from podcasting alone. I don't use a lot of the doors that it offers. However, just by moving in the obedience of God, there has been several doors that I have walked through, just because I obeyed the urge that I received to move forward in podcasting. But if you're someone who don't have a lot to say, if you it's never really been placed on your heart, if you've just kind of seen somebody, or you started listening to podcasting and you think, oh, maybe this is something I should try. I would say just really do some planning before you go into it. Really watch a lot of videos on how to do it, how to get started, how to move, how to work in it, and really just kind of further your education in it before you just decide to move forward in it, because I would say that it isn't for everybody. However, it can be for you. So that's completely up to your personality and what the Lord has, in the future for you. So overall, if God has called you to it, go for it. If it's something that you've always inspired to do, go for it. But if you're far left and it's something that just seems fun, I would definitely just try to do some little research on it. But overall, absolutely, go for it. So last but not least, a lot of people are wondering what's next. What's next on the list for Circle Up? What's next on the list for Amanda? What's next? What do we have the honors or the pleasure to look forward to? So Circle Up is going to be presenting a newsletter. Not this month, but the following month. So June, we will start putting out a newsletter. This newsletter is going to be extremely informational. It's going to hold just a lot of hope, a lot of encouragement, some steps to take, some challenges that I pray many of you accept. It's going to be pretty awesome. God has some pretty big plans for us in the future. So that is what's next. Season 2 is also going to be released in June. So stay tuned for that. We are also doing a giveaway, and that is this month. There's going to be 3 giveaways, 5 different winners each time, so there will be a total of 15 winners. I encourage you to definitely make sure you are following Circle Up underscore AH on Instagram and Facebook. That way you can know when the drawings are going to be done. You can know if you were a winner, and hey, you can just stay tuned with everything that God has given me, so that I may be able to share with you. So that's all I have for you today. That's all I have as of right now. If you have any questions, if you'd like for me to go any further, any deeper, and any of the answers to any of those questions that were previously asked, feel free to message me, DM me, hit me up on any of the platforms. And if you have any other questions that you would love for me to ask, or any topics that you would love for me to talk about, go ahead and start dropping those in my DM, because season 3 will be completely up to the listeners. I will be doing mixed topics based on whatever you guys want to hear. So you can go ahead and start filling my DM up with that. And until next time, bye.